Syracuse football could really use a linebacker in the transfer portal, and I'm here to tell you right now that Josiah Trotter could make a lot of sense for Syracuse.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And folks, thank you all so much for watching Poll Friday just an hour ago, talking about which quarterback option makes the most sense for Syracuse this offseason. If you haven't seen that yet, don't worry. This episode doesn't really impact it because we're talking about a linebacker on this mini edition of the Locked On Syracuse podcast. But when you are done with this one, feel free to go check that one out. On today's show, we are talking about how Syracuse football could really use a linebacker, and Josiah Trotter, a West Virginia player who's in the transfer portal, makes a ton of sense for the Orange. We're going to talk about how he fills a need, how he's a stud, and then we're also going to discuss later on the feasibility of it. Because, look, let's be honest, we all want the best players to play for Syracuse, but there's got to be some sort of connection. So I did a lot of homework on Josiah Trotter, and I'm here to tell you right now, there is a Syracuse connection with the West Virginia linebacker, okay? So let's talk about Josiah Trotter as a player. 6'2", 240-pound inside linebacker from West Virginia with 3 years of eligibility remaining. That's already intriguing. The fact that he's got 3 years, so this could be a long-term solution at inside linebacker. Now, he plans to enter the transfer portal. He's not yet in yet, but he plans to enter the transfer portal according to ESPN's Pete Thamel. Trotter, a fun fact of him, he is the son of NFL linebacker, or former NFL linebacker, I should say, Jeremiah Trotter Sr., and he is the younger brother, of Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who is a rookie for the Eagles right now. Josiah Trotter, after talking about all the Trotters here, he definitely fills a need for Syracuse because he's an inside linebacker. And when you look at the Orange's depth chart for this upcoming season in 2025, they're big starters. Marlowe Wax, all-conference linebacker, Justin Barron, another all-conference player. They're out of eligibility, so they cannot return to Syracuse. We all love them. We all wish they can come back, but you only have a certain amount of years that you can play in college football, with the exception of a few players that the NCAA will let play for, 8, 9, 10 years. It's just how the rules work. I don't know if there are any rules anymore. Besides the point, also yesterday, we learned that backup linebacker Anwar Sparrow plans to enter the transfer portal. He's going to play in the bowl game. He announced it himself, but he is going to enter the transfer portal. And obviously, I wish Anwar Sparrow nothing but the best. And as far as how it actually impacts Syracuse, well, I don't think he was ever going to be a starting linebacker for us. And so ultimately, that's why I'm making an educated guess that's why he's entering the transfer portal. He's a hit to the depth, but that's another point. He is a hit to the depth, only increasing the need for another linebacker. And I also looked at Syracuse's recruiting class in 2025. They only got 2 linebackers. So linebacker is definitely a need for this team this offseason. And Trotter is really good. Trotter is really, really good. He was recently named Big 12 Defensive Freshman of the Year. How about that? That's a good start, right? Big 12 Defensive Freshman of the Year. The Big 12, guys, is a Power 4 conference. We're not talking about a guy who's coming from a mid-major conference or a Group of 5 conference. No. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Freshman of the Year, really, in the Big 12, a power conference. That is very important. The kid is a stud. He was second on the team with 92 tackles. And I believe that Josiah Trotter, he's going to be sought after. Okay, this is going to be one of the top players in the portal. Right now, he is one of the top players in the portal, but more guys are going to enter and enter and enter. I guess the hope for Syracuse, and we're going to talk about later on and how there is a connection here. You hope that a lot of linebackers enter the portal. A lot of good ones. Because if there are a lot of good ones, not only is Syracuse in the market for a linebacker, specifically on the inside, but also maybe that downgrades Josiah Trotter a little bit. It's fair to say that because think about last year with the quarterback market. If Kyle McCord was in the transfer portal right now, coming off the season he had at Ohio State, he would be the number one player in the portal. But last season, you had Cam Ward, you had Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard was a highly sought-after player as well, so that kind of downgraded Kyle McCord a little bit. That's what you're kind of hoping for with a guy like Josiah Trotter, because the dude is a stud inside linebacker, and there are going to be a lot of teams in on him. So, obviously, the kid's really good. He feels the need for Syracuse, and we all want the best players to play for the Orange, but this is what's important here. It's got to be feasible. Most of the time, there's got to be a connection. So coming up, I'm going to tell you guys the connections that he has with Syracuse and why this really could be feasible. Basketball season is in full swing, and whether it's the NBA, college, Syracuse basketball, going to games is typically very exciting. And the way I get tickets for games is by using Game Time. Game Time is a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters at the flip to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And my favorite feature is the curated deals. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever you would like. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page to replace your bets. Now, Syracuse football, we know we're going to be playing in that 10th game. It's the bowl game, they're trying for their 10th win in the bowl game, but that hasn't been announced yet. We don't know the opponent, so obviously FanDuel is not going to have the odds on it. However, something related, the ACC title game is coming up tomorrow. The odds currently have SMU as a 2.5-point favorite over Clemson. Now, what do you think of those odds? Well, you can be the judge of that for yourself. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, and never waste a hunch, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Former West Virginia inside linebacker Josiah Trotter plans to enter the transfer portal, and he would be a terrific fit for Syracuse. He's an inside linebacker. They desperately need an inside linebacker. There's going to be a lot of teams, though, that are out there that want him. He's going to be one of the more highly sought-after players. I just told you earlier that he was recently named the Big 12 Defensive Freshman of the Year. That says a lot. He's got 3 years of eligibility. Who would not want Josiah Trotter? So really for Syracuse, the only real way you have some sort of a chance at him is you have to have a connection. Now, there are some schools out there that they can just throw a boatload of money and they can get whoever they want with no connection. With Josiah Trotter, you're going to need one, in my opinion. He is a really, really good football player and fills a need. Is it feasible for Syracuse? Because, again, we want the best players to come play for our Orange, right? I say it is. Now, I haven't seen anywhere online linking him with Syracuse, but that doesn't mean it's not feasible to happen. Here's why. There is a Syracuse connection here. He was offered by the Orange, but that was under Dino Babers, and Syracuse did not make his top 8 list of schools. Okay, but that was under Dino Babers. How does it relate to the staff right now? Well, did a little bit of homework for you guys. One of those 8 schools out of high school was Texas A&M. Guess who was Josiah Trotter's primary recruiter from Texas A&M? I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. That's right. According to 24/7 Sports, it was Elijah Robinson, currently the defensive coordinator at Syracuse. Well, there you go. So there is already a connection between Syracuse and Josiah Trotter. Yeah, we can talk about how the fact that he was offered by the Orange, but I don't really care that he was offered by Syracuse. That was a prior regime that offered him, and they didn't even make his top 8 schools. But Texas A&M, they made his top 8, and his primary recruiter was Elijah Robinson, now with the Orange. So there is a feasible connection there. Number 2, there is a Philadelphia connection, a big one. Trotter went to St. Joseph's Prep School in Philly. That is coincidentally the same high school as Kyle McCord. And I did a little bit of digging on this one too, and they definitely overlapped as teammates. They definitely did. Kyle McCord, he was in the class of 2021. Josiah Trotter out of high school was in the class of 2023, which means they had 2 years of teammates. All it takes is a quick phone call. I'm sure that Kyle McCord had a great time at Syracuse. I wish he can come back. Maybe they can get some sort of waiver for another year of eligibility. Assuming that's not the case, he's still an Orange forever. We all love Kyle McCord, and I'm sure he's going to want to help this program because, let's be honest, they also did a lot for him too. Just like he did so much for us, we did a lot for him. Fair to say? So all it takes for Kyle McCord to do is pick up the phone, one of his former teammates. I'm sure he has his number. They went to the same high school. They were on the same high school team. They were both elite players, obviously. Hey, Josiah, I can tell you a little bit about Syracuse. There you go. Also, in Syracuse's 2025 recruiting class, commit Kahlil Stewart also went to St. Joseph's Prep. Take that for what it's worth. Another 2-year overlap of teammates. There is a Syracuse-Philly connection with a guy like Josiah Trotter. So, yeah, he's going to be highly sought after. Big 12, defensive freshman of the year, 3 years of college eligibility, a stud inside linebacker. We know the Orange need an inside linebacker. I think that he would be a terrific fit for Syracuse. Let me know in the comment section below. Would you want Josiah Trotter? Feel free to let me know. I mean, I'm sure most of you would, but give me your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below. As far as what is coming up on the podcast going forward, I already talked about at the top that Poll Friday was released at 6 o'clock. So that was an hour ago by the time you're watching this right now, hopefully. The next full podcast will be tomorrow. A full basketball post-game reaction. Syracuse playing Notre Dame, I believe, at 12 Eastern. Hopefully the Orange can get a win finally against a team that's not mid-major. How about that? Hopefully. Win, lose, or draw, though, I'm going to be there. Not literally there, but I'm going to be there to recap the game here on Locked On Syracuse. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this video, click that like button. If you really liked it, subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you know right away when I am dropping the next podcast. And I will see you all tomorrow after Syracuse plays Notre Dame. Hopefully, it's in celebration of a win.